Hello and thank you for watching my video today. I'm going to be painting a watercolor background on an 9 by 11 sheet of watercolor paper. So I'm going to be using Magenta Madness and putting a drop of re-inker in each of my pads. I'll be using the re-inker and Just Jade and also Misty Moonlight, Pretty Peacock, Rich Raspberry, and Granny Apple Green. I'm also using the new water painters, well, new this year, 2020, um, by Stampin' Up, and I am loving them. This was my first really good play with them, and they're really fun. So this background is not going to look very pretty when I first get started, the way I'm kind of splotching. So I'm trying to use quite a bit of water, and I'm just randomly putting splotches of Just Jade around on the background and getting my paper towel out so I can clean that and switch colors. And now coming in with some Misty Moonlight. And trust me, this is going to look like, oh no. But hopefully you've seen the cards first and that intrigued you to watch the video. So it did take me kind of a long time to do this background. It was really therapeutic though. It was just playing around with the colors and the water and playing around some more until I kind of got it to look the way I wanted. That's one thing about watercolors is they can be very forgiving. So hang in there, keep working, add more water, add more color. This was a lot of fun to make. So I'm coming in now with the Granny Apple Green. It's a nice bright green. And my lighting is not that good on this particular video, so you can't see how vibrant that color is. So I'm coming in with some Pretty Peacock now, adding some splotches of Pretty Peacock around. And Misty Moonlight, I guess was what that was. So my colors are starting to blend a little bit on my brush, and that's totally fine with me. As you can see, it's not anything that is, you know, needs a particular color in a particular spot. So I'm coming in now with the Magenta Madness, and I'm being careful not to get the ink to run together with some of those other colors, otherwise I'll end up with brown, which I am not going for. I wanted random splotches, and so coming in with some water, and at this point I did switch to the medium-sized brush that comes in the set because it has a rounder look to it, and I could avoid some of the harsher lines that I was getting with that wide brush. That wide brush is really good for wide splotches of color in the background. But now that I'm needing to be a little bit more particular, I switched. So I splattered some Rich Raspberry, and I'm just going to come in with a watery brush to some of those splotches, some of those dots, and move them around. Now notice that I'm starting to get a little braver about blending the colors on top of the others, but also being conscious of when I would get the brown colors. So the blue with the purpley Rich Raspberry isn't going to give me a brown. It's going to give me a nice purple color. So those are blending nicely. And then, of course, the Rich Raspberry blended with the Magenta Madness will also work out very nice. So I'm trying to get some of the drops to run down. And now I'm using a water spritzer and getting the whole thing nice and wet so I start to get some movement between my splotches, because this will not turn out as particularly identifiable, the splotches. It will all kind of blend together in the end. which is what I wanted. In the end, it will turn out really soft. And I have 4 samples that I have made with this background. Those samples can be viewed on my blog. The name of my blog is rosiescrapper.com. A list of supplies and tools that I used will be on that post as well. I think that I'm nearing the end of all my playing around with the color here. And I'm going to let that dry. And you can let it dry naturally, or you can speed up the process with your heat tool. I'm pretty sure that I used the heat tool on this day. So again, super random, but trying to get like a balance of color across the page so that my backgrounds look somewhat similar when I cut this up into 4 pieces. So again, if you decide to make one of these on your own, then I would love to see what you did with it. And I would love to have you share it over at Rosie Scrapper Stampers from my Facebook page, Stampin' Up with Kelly. There is a link below the video to that page. And I'd love to see what you do. If you have found anything in this video to be helpful, I'd love for you to give me a thumbs up. That always makes my day when I see someone has liked a video. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. I often do live videos too, so if you'd like to chime in on live videos and offer your support and opinion as I stamp, it's always really fun to do that. So if you click the notify button, then you'll be notified when I go live, and we can chat as I stamp for you. Don't really want any white showing here. And there we go. So here are the 4 backgrounds, and I'll be using fancy phrases. And I think it's always wise to use the Stamparatus when you are stamping on watercolor paper so that you can stamp more than once and get a really well-defined image. So I just leave it where it is and I turn the paper and kind of audition where the next one will go, and hold it down with a magnet. I'm using Memento because I decided not to come in with more watercolor. That's why I'm not using StazOn, but actually to come in with my Stampin' Blends and color those roses. It's a beautiful image from Fancy Phrases. So now I'm going to come in with the smaller image. And I'll use the same process of stamping twice and then shifting my paper. If you have any questions about anything I've done today, please leave me a comment. I can usually get back to you fairly quickly. So that is cut to 3 7/8 by 5 1/8, and the black piece of paper underneath it is cut to 4 5 1/4. So now coming in with the Magenta Madness Stampin' Blends, where the shading occurs in the drawing is where I'm using my darker blend. And now just coming over and on top of everything in the roses with the light Magenta Madness. So this is a really long video, and I'm probably not going to narrate the whole thing. As a matter of fact, I think we could probably do a cut right here to another card and show you this finished project. Like I said, all of the stamps that I use and supplies will be linked below in the description of this video and also on my blog. All right, so the card is finished, and I took a little piece of leftover watercolor paper, and I think it's about 1/4 of an inch, so I'm adding that to my inside panel. Some nice interest on the inside. And didn't have the sticker on the back of that, so just notice I remove the protective coating and then just very carefully lay it down. I don't try to set the whole thing down at once. I like to just kind of lay it down from one end to the next. So I'm just making sure that that's on there straight, and looks like it is. So now I can stamp it in my card. Very nice. Love that Magenta Madness paper. So bright. There. Very pretty. That's going to be a fun card to give. Oh, apparently need to add some gems. I'm really loving these new gems. The name is escaping me right now, but oh golly, they're so sparkly. They're just really sparkly. There's like clear and then like this champagne color and white, and they're very beautiful. So I'm using the clear on here. Kind of look like raindrops. So let's clean up and start on the next card. So the next card, I'm using a Misty Moonlight background with Magenta Madness panel, and I'm stamping with Memento ink some butterflies from Butterfly Gala. I did cut my stamps apart. I'm stamping 3 little ones across and 1 large one, and then I'll add the greeting, which says, "Hello, beautiful." I love the greetings in this stamp set, and the butterflies for that matter. Since I haven't decided who to send these cards to, I'm thinking they might make a really nice gift set. Of course, those acrylic block boxes that Stampin' Up! Sells are great for a set of cards. These will be a little more bulky. The watercolor paper itself makes it a little more bulky. So I'm stamping the inside, the bodies of the butterflies now. And then the antenna. Again, this is very pretty the way it is, but I decided to take it another step. I was on a marathon craft day, and decided to paint the insides of the butterflies. That smallest water painter is super fine, and it was really easy to get into those small little spots with that painter. So I'm using Granny Apple Green and Magenta Madness and Misty Moonlight. Keeping it pretty watery and using a really light touch, getting in there and painting the parts of the butterflies. I did not use the same pattern for adding color. Each one of the butterflies has a different combination of colors. And I think we'll just jump to the end where you can see this card after it's done. So I decided to show the end of this card because the inside turned out really cute. It kind of took me forever to paint those butterflies. So I chose another strip of the watercolor paper that I had trimmed, and I am stamping 3 of the little butterflies on that watercolor paper, and then I'm going to use the punch to punch those out and add them to the inside. Let's give these butterflies some bodies. Notice that I'm using the foam piercing mat to stamp on because those are photopolymer stamps. So trying to make the butterflies look like they're in flight. And now adhering them with a little dot of liquid mono adhesive. I think that looks really sweet. That would make a cute card front in itself. So that panel was cut 4 by 5 1/4. So there's 2 of the cards finished. All right, so let's take a look at all 4 of them. Those other 2 cards were made with the Ridiculously Awesome stamp set. Love those sentiments in there.